Om Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vitvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Okay, we start with verse 33 today. Last time we had done 32, and the 32 verse had said that, but those who carp at teaching and do not practice it, deluded in all knowledge and devoid of discrimination, know them to be doomed for destruction. This we had done, and it is next one. Sadrisham cheshtate swasyaha prakritirjnanavanape prakritim yanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyate. Now, this verse says something very interesting. Because see, the Gita keeps talking of control, it talks of discipline, it goes on talking of renunciation, but there are a lot of people who can't do all this. Now, here, the psychologist in Krishna, he's a universal teacher, so he has to take into account all kinds of students, not just students who are very highly evolved. So he says over here that if you control by force, then the lowest student, if he can't do it, you should leave it. You should never force control on anybody, because if you do that, then it will not have an effect. Suppression done by force will always burst out as a deformity somewhere else, and it will not sort of conform with the ways of living of that person. And also, Krishna understands, and he says it also, that the higher ways of living are not meant for everybody. This we must very clearly understand, because Krishna, as I said, is a universal teacher, and here he is giving this to you, that nigraha kim karishyati. Nigraha means control. So what can control do? He's asking a question here. Nigraha kim karishyati? How can control help if the nature of the person is different? Now I'll read the translation. It says, even a wise man acts in accordance with his own nature. Beings will follow nature. What can restrain do? Now see, whatever is the nature of that person, and nature is formed because of past experiences and past thoughts of that individual. That is his temperament. Now, conditioned by circumstances, situations, actions, thoughts, his mind is formed. He will act according to his mind, no matter what you do. So, like, okay, if you force him into a certain kind of discipline, so you can fool somebody for one afternoon by putting on an act, but that is not your nature. So very soon you will behave differently. They say if you keep sitting quietly, nobody knows your mind, but the moment a person speaks, he will bring out what is inherent in his temperament. And so see, you are the product of your past. Each one of us is the product of his past, and that you cannot help. Therefore, you will act according. So if you try to force somebody, he always reacts. Have you seen teenagers, young children? When the mother and father force them, no, you have to do this or you have to do that, then you see the rebellion. So that is never, never possible. Now see, you cannot channelize forcefully into thinking in a certain way. And that is why the Lord over here says that everybody's mind is designed in a certain way with his past, and he will act like that, and you should allow his inherent nature to play out. Now, what can restraint do? As he asks over here, he's asking, what can restraint do? Nigraham kim karishyati. So you see, you should recognize the all-seeing philosopher in Krishna, the universal psychologist in Krishna, the person who takes care of every seeker, high or low, in Krishna. So here he says, this honest confession of Krishna, that Nigraha Kim Karishyati, is an honest confession, and you can see his tolerance, his broad-mindedness in accommodating every seeker, every possible seeker. So he should be allowed to do as he will be doing. So Gurudev used to say that a monkey, if you make a monkey put on a suit, he will put on a suit, look like a gentleman, but what will his sorry, what will his his actions will be like a monkey. He will be jumping from branch to branch, taking somersaults, snatching people's things. That is what a monkey will do. So even if he is wearing a suit, he will not behave like a gentleman. And therefore, Krishna says, we come to the next verse. Indriyasendrasyarthe ragadveshau vyavasthitau tayornavashamagachet tau hyasya paripantheno. It says, attachment and aversion for the objects of senses abide in the senses. Let none come under their sway, for they are his foes. Very nice. This verse, it says something very, very nice. See, likes and dislikes are universal. Each human being is born because of his likes and dislikes. His mind is made up of likes and dislikes. So those likes and dislikes will definitely come. But let him not be under the sovereignty of them. Let him not be bullied by his likes and dislikes. Let him not be under the dictatorship of his likes and dislikes. They will come, but he should have the grit not to come under their sway. An example is, Gurudev used to give his personal example that his dislike for Bengan. And he says that no matter where I go for bhiksha, they will always give me a bengan. And I have to eat that bengan quietly, sweetly, nicely, telling the hostess how nicely she has made it. Now, the moment he says, I used to say how nicely you made it, she says, Swamiji, have one more. And so another used to be put on the plate. So he used to say the only thing is, keep doing Ram, 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 and keep eating the bengan. Now, this is just an example. It is with all of us that we come across things which we do not like at all, and we rebel. The thing is that how you should not come under this raga dvesha. Raga dvesha vyavasthita. There is another very good example, and that is of a zoo. See, every animal in the zoo is different. He looks different. He behaves differently. His eating patterns are different, right? Now, when that happens, when you go to visit a zoo, do you go to visit all the animals who should look the same, behave the same, and eat the same? No. You celebrate the variety. You go to enjoy the variety. You go to see, oh, this animal is like this, and that one is like that, and that one is like that. So why don't you do it in life also? Think about it. Every individual, even within a single family, each human being is different. Their temperaments are different, likes and dislikes are different, right? And so you should enjoy them as they are. Appreciate them as they are. They are a gift of Narayana to you. Appreciate those gifts. One is one type, the other is another type. And so they will all be there, but you have not to be governed by them. That means you should not get affected by whatever they are doing or saying. Now, a spiritual seeker, the life of a spiritual seeker has to be highly ethical. It is only then, see, that you can do this, that attachment and aversion for the objects of the senses abide in the senses, he says. So knowing this phenomena, you could first try to understand this, that the aversion and the attachment do not belong to the objects, situations, or people. They belong to your mind. You like a certain thing, it becomes beautiful for you. It becomes desirable for you. You dislike that thing, it becomes hateful for you. Somebody else, what you hate, someone else desires. So that thing can give that person pleasure, it cannot give you pleasure. See, objects are innocent. They have no control over you. It is your mind that brings the chains. It is your mind that brings the controls of aversion, likes, and dislikes. A diamond, does a diamond know how much that housewife loves that diamond ring? Does that diamond ring know? Tell me. No, it doesn't. A beautiful car. Does that car know how much the owner is attached to that car? Or how much the owner loves that car? And can that car love you back? No. So all that attachment that you generate is from your own mind. It is from your own senses. You evaluate a thing and you get attached to it. You devalue a thing and you get detached from it. It's as simple as that. So he says over here, see, attachment and aversion for the objects of sense abide in the senses, in your own senses. And senses are governed by the mind. And he says, let none come under their sway, for they are his foes. They are the looters on your way to spiritual heights. They will snatch away all your peace. They will snatch away your tranquility. They will snatch away your peace of mind. So, whenever you are dying to have something, then what is the medicine? How do you control yourself? See, no physician is a good physician if he just prescribes a medicine which is not available anywhere. So, a physician has to make sure that whatever he is prescribing is available. So, here, the philosophy in the Gita takes care of that. When they prescribe that you rise above the sway of attachment and aversion, they also advise you the means and the method to transport yourself above above these weaknesses. And that life of perfection that is indicated has to be achieved. So how can that be achieved? Okay, now he says the first thing is a highly ethical life. When you live a life of ethics, you have to be very alert about it, very, very alert, and watch it. When you are sensing trouble, a lie easily comes out of your mouth. You easily tell a lie. To protect yourself, you tell a lie, right? So watch it. Watch yourself. If you are on the path of spirituality, Gurudev ke words bata rahi hu, he used to say that the basic minimum for a spiritual seeker is to tell the truth always, in all situations, in all circumstances. He has to be true to himself. If he, and you know what he used to say? He used to say, if you can't even do this basic step, then don't even try spirituality. You are wasting your time. You will never reach anywhere. You are wasting your time. So imagine, even to tell the truth is a basic step which a spiritual seeker has to practice. And when a certain amount of purity in his ethical living comes, he will be able to do this. He will be able to get over this thing, aversion. And so then the mind, see, the mind only reacts to stimuli from outside. And the stimuli that your experience is based on your past reactions of the mind. So the past reactions of the mind determine not only attachment but also aversion. If you like something, then the mind immediately tells you that whatever is opposed to that thing, you do not like. That is the mind's immediate response. I like this and I don't like this. So you rise above it by the first step, that is ethical living. And you must be very, very careful about that. You should not be just a helpless victim of your likes and dislikes. Most people are. They are governed so badly by their likes and dislikes that their moods change from elation to depression to elation to depression, depending upon whether they have got something that they liked or they have not got. So they are under the tyrannies of these likes and dislikes and their own attachments. So the measuring rod is how you are able to control your ego. Likes and dislikes are the mind and intellect. The mind and intellect is made up of likes and dislikes. So man, buddhi, chitta and ahankar, all these are names of ego only. Man, buddhi, chitta, ahankar. The subtle body is ego, mind and intellect. If there is no mind, what is the ego? Tell me, where is the ego? Supposing you have no mind and intellect, is there any ego then? There is no ego, you don't even know who you are. If your mind and intellect is minused, chit, memory. If the memory is minused, do you know who you are? Like in deep sleep, somebody asks you, their memory is minused. All these are minused. So at that time, if somebody asks you, who are you? Can you answer? So there is no ego. Are you a man or woman? No ego. You don't even know. Leave aside the subtleties of ego. You do not even know what you are wearing, whether you are a man or a woman, or what is your name, you don't know. So mind and intellect, all these four are called in technical terms antahkaran. Vedant mein they are known as antahkaran: man, buddhi, chitta and ahankar. All these comprise of the ego. So you have to learn to rise above this. When you learn to rise above this, that is by selfless ethical living, then you will be able to do this much easily. Come to the next verse. Shreyan swadharmo vigunaha paradharmat svanushthitat Swadharme nidhanam shreyaha paradharmo bhayavaha. Now, there is a lot of mischievous interpretations attached to this verse. The mischievous interpretations are by the orthodox conservative pundits who thought that they own Hinduism that any text of the Hindus, they are the people who can interpret, and they are the ones, and they used to interpret according to their mind. So the degenerate form of Hinduism brought it like this: Paradharma bhayavaha. That means stay within the narrow confines of your religion. Here the word dharma, they interpreted as religion. Religion means institutionalized religion, like Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, Jainism, Buddhism, and all that. Whereas the word dharma, if you look up the Sanskrit dictionary, oh my God, one of the meanings of dharma is religion, yes, but it has pages and pages and pages full of the various interpretations of this word dharma. So, how can you confine it to the narrow term religion? Swadharma. Swadharma is basically the true textures of your own mind and intellect. Whatever your mind and intellect is made of, whatever are your natural tendencies, are your dharma, your essential qualities. Look, again, to give you an example, which I've given before also. Dharma means the essence of that thing, without which that thing is not that thing. Like sugar, the dharma of sugar is sweetness. Otherwise, it may look translucent. Any crystals which are cubic in shape, okay, they are translucent, they are white in color, they look like sugar. But if they do not taste like sugar, if they do not taste sweet, then it cannot be sugar. You immediately say, oh, this is not sugar, isn't it? So the swadharma of sugar is sweetness. The swadharma of salt is saltiness. Okay? So, like that. So, unless that is there in that person is not that person. Now, I'll read the translation. Better one's own duty. See, here Gurudev has translated the word dharma as duty, your duty. Better one's own duty, though devoid of merit, than the duty of another well discharged. We generally see the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence, as they say, as the saying goes. Now, when you see somebody else very successful, progressing, thing and all, you feel, I wish I was like that. But those are not your tendencies. So even if you try to be like that, you cannot be. And therefore, even even in the ordinary world, even in the corporate world, one person who specializes in a certain thing is transferred to another department, but to a similar department. An engineer will be transferred to an engineering station, where he will work in a factory, in a workshop, in a machine factory or whatever, but as an engineer. He cannot be transferred to an operating theater in a hospital. He will make a mess of it, because that is not his dharma. His swadharma is engineering. Right? Okay. Now also, see, if a housewife is, her swadharma is looking after the home very beautifully, decorating the home very nicely, cooking beautifully, looking after her children and family very nicely. If she is sent to the front and given an AK-47 to fire at the enemy or drive a tank, will she be able to do it nicely? No. So that is the dharma of an army officer. Your dharma as a housewife is different. A doctor's dharma is different. Like that. So you have to exhaust your desires according to your mind and intellect equipment. What are you capable of? Whatever you are capable of, you will do that best. And in doing that, you will rise. See, there are umpteen examples. I know personally also. There is a very big businessman in Delhi. Now he is the head of a huge business empire. But by heart, he's a musician. Now he loves to sing, he loves to compose music. So what does he do? In his office, he is not sitting and conducting business, but he is writing down notations of music, and he's trying to sing tunes sitting in his office. I know of an IAS officer who wanted to be a teacher. His parents forced him to get into the IAS. Of course, he was brilliant, so he came first and all that and became an IAS officer. But then what did he do? Sitting in his IAS office, he used to all the time be composing articles and writing poetry. And as soon as his parents passed away, he resigned from the IAS and went and became a teacher. So that was his Swadharma. And he feels easy doing his Swadharma. And he feels happy doing his Swadharma. Whereas supposing he was asked to do something totally different from what he knew, supposing he went into a hydroelectric plant, transferred as an engineer to look after the machines, wouldn't he fail in that? He would fail. He would not know how to do it. And that is why he says, Paradharmo bhayavaha. That means whatever the other person is good at, you are not good at. If you are forced to do that, then that will cause fear. It is bound to cause fear in you. Your own dharma will make you diviner. It will help you to grow spiritually because you will do it to the best of your capacity. Hmm? Now, I also know of a policeman who was a painter, and whenever he got free time, he used to sit and paint. So he would not be doing his police duties that well as he would do painting if he was trained in that. Many parents force their children to fit into what they think is best for that child. He may be an adventure sports loving person, and the father is training him to become an engineer. The father is training him or forcing him to become a doctor. So he will never be successful in that. That is why he says, Paradharma bhayavaha. So see, he says the other person's duty is fraught with fear, is productive of positive danger. You have to exhaust your vasanas, hmm, uh, by doing your own dharma, and your own dharma is your own tendencies because of which this vessel, this body is born. You've got to do it that way, and that is what it should be. Now the texture of the thoughts entertained by any human being are his driving force. And he says, better one's own duty, though devoid of merit, even if it is a lower kind of work, but you love doing it, you naturally go towards it, then do just that. Don't get into something being propelled by circumstances, situations, parents, your friends, because your friends are good at it and they're doing it, so you also try to do it. No, you must and must. But the Hindu decadence, the priests brought a very narrow meaning to this word dharma. And as I told you, they brought the meaning so down as to call it just religion. And so then what was interpreted as? Hindu, in the Hindu texts, one of them, the Gita, it says, don't ever practice any other religion. I have seen Hindus are the most tolerant people, the most open minded people, the most easily accepting another person's religion. I, for myself, have gone to the church for 4 years every Sunday. Think about it. Because I used to love it, love the peace, the quietude, the hymns that were sung, the organ that was played. So, but I'm a Hindu, it doesn't change. So it is not this narrow meaning of a thing. Narrow meaning is very dangerous for the growth of any individual. He should have a free thinking mind. He should have an adaptability. He should imbibe everything that is in other religions, which is good, which helps you grow. Why not? All religions have good things. So take from other religions, not this narrow thing of Paradharma and Swadharma that was interpreted by the Pandits in decadent Hinduistic philosophy. So it very clearly, Gurudev has very clearly described and also said that how it should be done, that you must definitely not act against the grain of your vasanas. Whatever is your natural tendency, do that. And in doing that, you will grow. Also, when you do that, your mind gets more and more purified, and more easily it is able to imbibe spiritual knowledge, which will fructify over there. If your mind is impure and spiritual knowledge is given to you, the spiritual knowledge always becomes futile. You can never use it. See, you try giving spirituality or spiritual knowledge to people whose mind is full of rajas and full of tamas. They don't even want to listen. Even if you force them to listen, then what happens? They misinterpret the philosophy to suit them and become the devil's advocate. The example given in Vedanta is of milk. Milk has to be poured into a very clean vessel before it is boiled. If you pour milk into a vessel that is not very clean and then you heat it, the milk will curdle. It is everybody's experience, isn't it? The milk will immediately curdle because the vessel was impure. So the vessel of the mind has to be very pure before spiritual knowledge is poured into it. And this, by acting according to your vasanas, according to your tendencies, purifies the mind, because there is no turmoil then in the mind of what I know, what I can easily do, and what is being forced on me. Right? So be very careful in this. Now, Arjun was born a prince. So what were his natural tendencies? See, Krishna is addressing Arjun over here. So we must know what are Arjun's natural dharma. He was born a prince. He was trained in the art of warfare. He was trained in the art of shooting arrows, and he was one of the greatest marksmen of his time. And that fighting came very naturally to him, right? So, but he was also trained in the early Vedic, he was trained by the early Vedic era. So all these terms like dharma and yagna and all were part of his vocabulary. But here Krishna is being advised that it is dangerous to suppress your tendencies. You know what Arjuna was saying? That I don't want to fight. I will go back into the Himalayas and meditate there. I will eat food of beggary. All this is not his dharma. It is not his swadharma. The dharma of a prince is to fight for his kingdom, to fight for his people, to protect his people, and to garner power and administrate. That is the natural tendency, which is swadharma of Arjun. So the Lord is saying, you must follow your swadharma. Running away into the Himalayas to meditate in caves is, you are not ready for it. Your mind is not pure enough for that kind of thing. So don't do that. So now Arjun asks a question. As I told you that all this knowledge is based on question and answer, here Arjun is asking. Arjuna uvacha ath kena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha anichannapi varshneya baladiva niyojitaha. In the entire Gita, also it is epic tradition that one person is addressed by many different epithets, many different names, depending on the occasion. on which he is addressed. Here Krishna is addressed by Arjun as Varshaneya. Varshaneya is a person who is born in the Vansh, in the dynasty of the Vrishnis. Vrishnis was a clan, and Krishna was born in the clan of Vrishnis, therefore Varshaneya. So, atha kena prayuktoyam papam charati purusha. Now, this verse is a very, very important verse. And let us do it very, very carefully. Now, what does it say? I'll read the translation. It is, Arjun is asking, but by what? See, Krishna has already talked of impulses, likes, dislikes, and vasanas, right? Now, Arjun is asking, but by what impelled does man commit sin? Though against his wishes, O Varshaneya, constrained as it were by force. This is a very important verse. It is, Arjuna is asking that even when man does not want to commit sin, even when man does not want to do something wrong, which his intellect is telling him is wrong, then compelled by what force does he still do it? The common experience of every human being is that he knows what is right, he knows what is good, and yet many a time he finds that he does not do what is the right thing, he does something totally opposite that. And Arjun is asking that why is it so? What is that deep, dark, negative force which compels you to do something ugly, something vulgar, something which is not very right? So, what is that devil sitting in the bosom of man that compels him? Look at the word you say, Baladev Niyojita. Baladev means by force. He is constrained to do it as if he is tied up by that force and pulled by that force to do that wrong thing when his intellect is telling him that it is wrong. Also understand that every religion has got this thing in it, and every religion has named the force as, now like in Buddhism it is called Mara. You can Mara, Mara it is called. In Christianity he is called Satan. There is a Satan, the one who tempts you to do wrong things. In Islam he is called Shaitan. तो वो शैतान आपको पुल करता है कहीं से. In Hinduism it is called Rakshasi Vritti. कि Rakshas temperament pulls you to do wrong things even when you know that they are wrong and that they are not the very right thing to do. Still you do it. Still you do it. And Arjuna is saying that you are pushed, you are pulled, and anichchanapi. That means without desire. He doesn't want to do it. Yet he does it. So surely it has to be something very, very powerful. Dekho, paap is a relative thing. He's talking about paap over here, na? Paap is when you contradict your intellect. When your intellect is telling you that something is wrong and you should not do it, yet you go and do it. You are contradicting the intellect. That is when paap arises. Also understand that paap is also relative in the sense that what is the dharma of a Vaishya becomes an adharma for a Brahmin, becomes an adharma for a Kshatriya. Right? A Vaishya's dharma is to figure out from where he can earn more money and what is the situation by creating which he can get more money. Okay. Now, he is voted to power in today's world as a Kshatriya, a politician. A politician is a Kshatriya. His duty is to protect the weak, to shelter the weak. But who's sitting there? A person whose mind is that of a Vaishya. Won't he make money? He will. For every favor that he is granting, he will ask the person to pay. Now, the poor man is a Vaishya. He is only doing his Swadharma. Take? But he is sitting in the wrong place. He is sitting in the place of a Kshatriya and doing the Dharma of a Vaishya. So, that is not a right thing to do. Similarly, a Vaishya joins the army. Now, over there, what is he doing? He again will want to make money. He will not want to fight and all that. A Kshatriya working as a Vaishya, he will never be successful because his temperament is that of fighting for the right, bullying, making no compromise, this, that. Now, that doesn't work in business. In business, you need a different kind of temperament, isn't it? A Kshudra with a Brahmin temperament never work out. A Brahmin who behaves like a Kshudra will not work out. Therefore, he says over here, he is asking, okay, what is it? What is it that compels people to do the wrong thing? Now, you will notice over here that Arjuna has calmed down quite a bit. He is not talking of running away. He is not talking of escaping from the battlefield. He has begun to question. So, the Lord, by speaking to him in the second chapter, has calmed down Arjuna's mind to quite an extent so that Arjuna is now introspecting and his intellect has begun to ask questions. He has become quiet enough to listen and raise doubts and also ask. Now, this question is almost like the question being asked by a modern man, by today's student, that okay, you say do the dharma, but many times we are forced to do a dharma. So, what is that thing, dark and sort of a devilish thing in everybody's mind that even while understanding the right thing, we do the wrong thing? We also, by doing that, we set an example. See, the father is lying to somebody. Sorry. Now, the father is lying to somebody, okay? That is a divorce between his ideology and what he is doing in practice. The son is watching the father. All right. Now, the father has already taught it to the son that in some situations you can lie. Okay. But now see the dichotomy. The father lies, but he expects truthfulness from his son. The first person the son will lie to is the father. When the son begins lying to the father is surprised. He is shocked that my son, my own son, lying to me. Well, who taught it to him? Huh? So the father is not doing his own Swadharma and showing it to his children. And that is the reason why there will be a contradiction in the behavior of the son. And this invariably, when that kind of thing happens, when you do not listen to your intellect, when you do not listen to your Swadharma, this thing takes place. And you go for the cheaper joys of the flesh, you go for whatever you at that time gives you pleasure, and that is so compelling that you leave the right, you contradict your intellect, and you do the wrong. And your Rakshasi Vritti comes up. So the next verse we will do next time. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam eva vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om.